Well, the Lord Abbett Developing Growth Fund has been a top-performing fund over the last 5 years. It's rated a Bloomberg best amongst U.S. small-cap funds. Thomas O'Halloran has been its lead portfolio manager for the last 8 years and manages a total of about $3.3 billion in assets. He joins us now not only to talk about this fund, but also the Lord Abbett Growth Leaders Fund, which is launching today. Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you, Adam.
Tell us about the new fund.
The new fund will be very much the same as the Developing Growth Fund in that the approach is that we are growth investors seeking to own the very best growth companies out there. So what we look for are inherently good business models companies run by talented and credible people, companies that are leading or gaining share in the markets they're in, and companies that are operating in healthy industries. And so the way we look at it, Developing Growth has a candidate set of 3,000 stocks, and we eliminate 90% and just focus on the 10% of best businesses. Growth Leaders will be looking at a much larger set of 5,000 stocks, and we'll eliminate all but 500 for the roster.
And you have a basic
funds.
screen. In other words, it's got to meet certain criteria in order to make.
It's got to have those four things going for it: the model, the management, the industry, and the market share. And that's very rare.
So it's not just numbers.
It's qualitative, and that's very rare. And we've owned a number of great companies over the years in the Developing Growth Fund, and we're very excited about having a much larger subset to look at. We think this is a great time for growth investing because the developed world has too much debt, and therefore the trendline growth of the economy is going to be slow. So what we do is seek to exploit the constant in capitalism, which is creative destruction. We're looking for disruptive companies with new products, new services, making new markets that are going to grow much faster than the general economy.
And that's what you mean when you say a good business model.
That's right.
Give us a couple examples of companies with good business models, et cetera, that you are long right now.
Okay. If you look at the internet, that's the biggest growth area of all. It's given rise to hosted software, so we own Salesforce.com and NetSuite. It's given rise to e-commerce, so we own Amazon. It's given rise to mobility, so we own Qualcomm, which is the brains of the mobility boom, as Intel was the brains of the PC boom. It's given rise to social networks. Now there'll be companies coming public in that area that we'll consider, like Zinger and Facebook.
And Hulu, we just had the news on Hulu. Would you
yes.
potentially...
These are all clearly great businesses that we would consider owning. They would be on the roster, clearly. Whether they'd be in the starting lineup of the 120 that we're going to own for Developing Growth or the 100 that we're going to own for Growth Leaders, I'm not certain. But they are clearly very fine businesses. The other thing that's going on with the internet is that all of this data has to be stored on the internet to work well. So we have the cloud is the new market that's opened up. So VMware we own in the Growth Leaders Fund. And now that everything's in the cloud, security is a pressing concern. So we own Fortinet and Checkpoint Software in the Growth Leaders Fund. And those have been, Fortinet has been a great stock for Developing Growth. Another area that we really like a lot is what we'd call wellness. You remember the Trading Places movie at the end when Dan Aykroyd looks at Eddie Murphy and he says, looking good,
Billy Ray.
Feeling good, Lewis. So these companies have new products, new services, new ways of doing things that make you feel better. Lululemon Athletica is an iconic brand overnight. Under Armour, an iconic brand overnight. The Growth Leaders Fund will also own Nike. Ulta is the Home Depot of cosmetics. The Growth Leaders Fund will own as well Estee Lauder. So we find areas that are growing in the economy
exciting
that isn't
stuff,
growing
Tom.
fast.
And I'm going to have to cut you off. I want to keep talking because growth is very exciting. But our thanks to Tom O'Halloran of Lord Abbett.